Hello, relatives. My name is Itai Jeffries. I come from the Yesa people. We're known as the Okanichi Band of the Saponi Nation, and I'm a long way from home because we're the indigenous peoples of North Carolina and Alamance and Orange counties. I'm also introducing myself in the way that I was taught because back home we call ourselves by our original name and we let each other know what our clans are. So I'm born of the white people and I'm a child of our Bear clan. And I'm also known as Man-Woman. That's what brings me here today. So I work for the Seattle Indian Health Board as the Traditional Health Program Director there. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here today on the land of the Duwamish and the Coastal Salish peoples. And it's a great privilege because they have cared for this place for thousands of years so that we might be here today and celebrate together. So one of the things that we talk about in Indian country and that we understand is that we are all related. And so, hukunerewahe is what we would say in my language to say that we are all relatives. And we also understand that because that is true, our people have always valued the Two-Spirit people. And when our two spirits are healthy and when those roles are elevated to the place where they belong, we know that everyone has a place to be healthy as well. So with that, I'm going to offer a short prayer song and a blessing. Thank you. Manina ne, manina he, manina ne na ye, manina ne, manina he, manina ne na ye. Creator, we thank you for all the things that you've given us today, and we thank you for the many relatives who come from all the directions to be here today. Let us use the gifts that you've provided for us. Let us use that water in a good way for all of our people. We give thanks for the old ones who give us strength and for the young who give us that joy in our lives and in our communities. And for those who've yet to be born, we say thank you, Bilahu.
Thank you, Itai, for that beautiful blessing. Let's take a moment to honor the Duwamish land which Seattle occupies. I'd like to welcome you all to the city's 7th annual flag-raising ceremony. My name is Byram, and I am one of the co-chairs of the Seattle LGBTQ Commission. Thank you. While Seattle has been raising the pride flag over the city for 7 years now, this is actually dwarfed by many other anniversaries that we'd like to celebrate today. 2019 is the 45th anniversary of Pride in Seattle, and it is the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots at the Stonewall Inn. In the early hours of June 28th, 1969, what we now call Pride began as a spontaneous collective resistance to a city-sanctioned police raid on the Stonewall Inn, one of the few bars in New York City that openly operated as a gay establishment, and one that in particular brought together the most marginalized within the LGBTQ community. The raid on the Stonewall Inn that night was not the first raid on the establishment, but it was the one where the community said enough is enough. The crowd was especially composed of black and brown folks and homeless young people, gay femmes and butch lesbians, drag queens, and trans individuals. Some we remember today are Marsha Payette No Mind Johnson, a black trans drag queen, Sylvia Rivera, a Latinx trans drag queen, Stormy DeLavery, a biracial butch lesbian. But there were many more whose names we may never know. It was an especially dangerous and radical thing for them to push back that night, and their bravery was a turning point that we remember today. Today, we invite you to honor and celebrate this liberatory struggle and the people who paved the way for us to begin standing here today. Though the exact first sparks will never be known, in our collective imagination, the Stonewall Uprising began with a brick thrown by Marsha P. Johnson, said to be thrown by Marsha P. Johnson. We will continue this struggle symbolically with our own bricks. They're in the back, and we invite you to decorate those bricks with the name of a person or an idea that represents pride and resistance to you. We hope that these bricks can represent the progress that we've already made, the work that is still left to do, and everything there is to celebrate about LGBTQ people, life, and history. We invite you to decorate one of the bricks, and after the rest of our speakers today, we'll collectively bring them up and lay a memorial around our pride flag to recognize 50 years of pride and resistance. Now I am pleased to introduce our first guest speaker, Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez. As one of two at-large citywide representatives and the first Latinx elected to serve the Seattle City Council, Councilmember Lorena Gonzalez has over a decade of experience as a civil rights attorney and community advocate. She's a nationally recognized civil rights leader. Since being elected in 2015, she's spearheaded the following legislation: a ban on the practice of conversion therapy on our LGBTQ minors, secure scheduling for thousands of low-wage workers in large retail and restaurant industry, $1 million for a legal defense network for immigrants and refugees facing immigration proceedings, including deportation, meaningful and community-driven police accountability and reform ordinance, and the expansion of paid parental leave and addition of paid family leave to all City of Seattle municipal employees. Thank you, Lorena Gonzalez, and welcome.
Well, hello, Seattle. How are you doing? All right. Well, I want to welcome you to the 7th annual Pride Flag Raising right here at your City Hall. Thank you for being with us. It's so beautiful to see so many people gathered. I'm sorry about the noise. I'll try to project as much as I can so you can hear me. As a welcoming city, Seattle is proud to welcome anyone who wants to call Seattle their home, regardless of their immigration status, color of their skin, or who they love. 2019, as we already heard, marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots, the beginning of the LGBTQ movement for many, and a pivotal event that was led by Black and Latinx trans individuals craving to be seen and recognized as human and not as other. This is history that is oftentimes erased when we're talking about the LGBTQ movement, and so it's important for us as we continue to celebrate Pride to make sure that we're not contributing to erasing the black and brown lives of people who have contributed to this movement and have been foundational to bringing us a just movement that is inclusive of all. Their efforts, we know, have paved the way for so many people in our city and across the country and across the world. And to this day, Seattle is proud to be known as a home to thousands of LGBTQ identifying people and their families. In 2016, as it was mentioned in my introduction, I was proud to be the prime sponsor of an ordinance that banned conversion therapy for minors in the city of Seattle. And I'll tell you what, that was the very first piece of legislation I sponsored as a Seattle City Council member, and I was proud to do that with community. By making that change in our human rights code, by making that change, we affirmed equity and the simple truth that being gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, or transgender, that is not an illness that is necessary and in need of fixing and medical treatment. It is simply who we are, and we have a right to be who we are whenever it is we want to be that person. So I want to thank you all for coming out today, and I want to welcome you again to the celebration that we're kicking off today. I'm so excited to celebrate Pride Month. It is one of my favorite months to celebrate, and so I'm really, really excited that you all are here. I am so excited that Pride is finally here. And with that being said, happy Pride, Seattle!
Thank you so much, Councilmember Gonzalez. You are an amazing ally and advocate for our community, and we so appreciate having you here. My name is Jessie Murray. I am one of the other co-chairs of the LGBTQ Commission. I'm here primarily to just introduce Mariko Lockhart, but I wanted to make a quick comment. Today, when we mark our bricks and put them around the flag, we want to acknowledge how much has changed in the last 50 years, but also how much we still have to do. When I put a name on this brick, it's going to be for my friend Jay. Jay came out just a couple of years ago. His parents didn't accept him, and he committed suicide. Too often, that is still the story for our youth, and we need to keep fighting. Today is not an end. Today is a remembrance and a beginning of more. And I'm so excited that Mariko Lockhart, who's the director of the Office of Civil Rights, is in the position that she's in, because she is a strong advocate for people of all backgrounds, identities, and persuasions. Mariko, I don't know where she is. There she is. I've been lucky enough to work with Mariko for the past year as she's been the interim director, and now she is the permanent director of the Office of Civil Rights. Getting out the official bio. Mariko Lockhart is the director of the Seattle Office for Civil Rights, which works to advance civil rights and end barriers to equity. The Seattle Office for Civil Rights enforces laws against illegal discrimination in employment, housing, public accommodations, and contracting within the Seattle city limits. The office leads the city's Race and Social Justice Initiative, the effort to end institutional racism in city government, and supports 4 commissions, including the LGBTQ Commission. The Office for Civil Rights is a champion for gay and transgender rights in Seattle, and we are so pleased and so proud to have Mariko here today to talk to you, all of you. So thank you, and let today be a beginning.
Well, happy Pride. And thank you all for coming today. It's already been introduced. This June, as others have said before, marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Riots. Or to quote Stormy DeLavier, who fought back against the police raid in June 1969, "It was a rebellion, it was an uprising, it was a civil rights disobedience, it wasn't no damn riot." Stormy, along with other transgender heroes, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, and many other Black and Brown LGBTQ community members, took part in this collective uprising that ignited the modern fight for LGBTQ rights in the United States. Today, we honor the legacies of these brave individuals like Stormy, Marsha P. Johnson, and Sylvia Rivera. and we thank them and the many LGBTQ individuals who paved the way toward equal rights and social inclusion for all people, regardless of who they love or how they express their gender. The Seattle Office for Civil Rights is grateful for the contributions of our LGBTQ communities and is honored to uphold the rights of every person who lives, works, and visits our city. We were one of the first municipalities in the country to implement an all-gender restroom ordinance, which creates more access to safe restrooms for transgender and gender non-conforming folks throughout the city. We enforced the ban on conversion therapy, which makes it illegal for healthcare providers to practice so-called conversion therapy on minors. We provide training on gender equity in the workplace, with the goal of fostering safe, gender-inclusive workplaces where all employees, regardless of gender identity or expression, can come to work as their whole selves and thrive. We work with the Mayor's Anti-Harassment Interdepartmental Team on issues related to gender-based violence and sexual harassment and how they impact community locally and in the workplace. The City of Seattle was one of the first cities in the country to provide protections on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. And Seattle was also one of the first public employers to provide transgender inclusive health benefits for its employees. And while Seattle will continue to uphold civil rights based on sexual orientation and gender identity, we know that some of these hard-fought legal rights are being rolled back right now by our federal government. Just last week, the Department of Housing and Urban Development proposed a new rule that would allow federally funded homeless shelters to turn transgender people away and deny them equal access to services. So today, as we commemorate 50 years since Stonewall and 45 years of Pride celebrations in Seattle, we encourage residents to honor the history of the fight for equality, celebrate the distance we have come, and recognize that our work is not yet over. Thank you all for coming to the Mayor and Seattle LGBTQ Commission's 7th annual flag raising. We join in the applause for our victories, and we hope this event provides inspiration to continue the fight for equity in June and beyond. The Seattle Office for Civil Rights will be participating in other events this month, and we hope to see you at Trans Pride on Friday, June 28th at Cal Anderson Park, and the 45th Annual Seattle Pride Parade and Pride Fest at the Seattle Center on Sunday, June 30th. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Latasha Carell, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the People of Color Stakeholders Committee on the Seattle LGBTQ Commission. And I'm going to introduce and give a short bio for Marsha Boser. Marsha Boser has served the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and progressive communities for over 40 years. As a founding member of Equality Washington and on the boards of Pride Foundation, Safe Schools, Lambert House, Seattle Counseling Service, and the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, Marsha founded Seattle's internationally known Ingersoll Gender Center, is a founding and serving member of Equal Rights Washington, and a past co-chair of Seattle's LGBTQ Commission. She served as a co-chair of the National LGBTQ Task Force in 2005 to 6, and 2009 to 2010, and as chair of the Action Fund in 2015. She is a founding member of Out in Front Leadership Project and served as a national co-chair of the 2008 Obama Pride campaign. She serves on the Generations Aging with Pride Board, and in 2015, Marsha was elected to the Martin Luther King County Labor Council Executive Board. She has received the Distinguished Scholar Award from Antioch University and the Gay City Health Community Leadership Award. In 2016, Marcia received the William O. Douglas Award for the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington. And in 2019, the Robert Deischer Founders Award from Seattle Counseling Service. Other awards Marcia received: the Virginia Prince Lifetime Achievement Award for the International Federation for Gender Education. In 2019, she served on the Leadership Committee of Equality Across America. And in 2011, Marcia received the Jose Julio Sarria Civil Rights Award and the Washington State GLBT Bar Association Award. And in 2013, she was elected for the inaugural U.S. edition of the Trans 100 list. In 2015, she received the Backbone Award from the National Secular Student Alliance.
Oh, my friends, goodness sakes, thank you so much, and thank you for that kind introduction. Oh, the sun shines on us today. So, my friends, beware of memory. It is a surprising companion. Some memories arrive full, featured, arrayed in detail, and vibrant with the clarity of immediacy, and others resist, they hide themselves, they fight back, revealing what they hold. These second memories, I know, must be pried and fringed to consciousness with notebooks, scraps of paper, recordings, texts, and midnight flights of thought, all of which we in our movement have buried in our closets now. Bring them out so that we might know our history. But so it was last weekend. I had planned to take a day or two and put away for a moment everything, the computer, the phone, all the tasks, the lists, everything, and be thoughtful and gentle, remembrance and recollection. But within an hour, all was wild activity. Remember, came the thought. It's pride again. Remember it all. I recalled the old pain of lonely unknowing, the pain of having no words, no guides, no mentors for the roiling thoughts inside. I recalled those most wonderful individuals, thank them forever, who in the late 60s and 1970s welcomed me into this world of ours, this great, outstanding struggle of ours. I recall the personal and the public efforts we have made today, coalesced in our wide movement, Pride. I recall also my parents who came back from World War II, worn out by war, tired by the stress and the loss. My father had seen a bunkmate below him blown to nothing in a sea battle. My mother had seen the planes coming in Pearl Harbor and had hid in a culvert for 2 nights. When they came home again, all they wanted was peace, safety, a quiet life, a new home, a life without anguish. But that meant also a life where we did not talk about these things inside. No. So I played in the yard, the rooms, and became slowly aware of my difference. My difference inside, although I had no words for it, no. That was a common story for transgender, non-binary, gender non-conforming people. Unfortunately, it still can be a common story. And so I did so many of the things that a mid-century white childhood brought. Today, most thankfully, we have the tools to examine those unexamined powers controlling society. But for me, at that time, I was unable to express anything about my identity, much less society that was to come. I went on to the local grade school. It was my duty. I did it to high school, took on odd jobs in summer, and all the time with growing anguish in the night, especially by high school years, where I took on the expected and assigned roles, rough sports, and silence. Again, a common story for trans and transgender people, more so then than now, I am so happy to say. I quieted my self-struggle for a while through intense physical tasks and exhaustion, taking on work in the trades. But of course, the struggle came back. You cannot deny physical truths. You cannot deny yourself without paying a price. It can be done, and is done by many who are forced to do it in many ways, but you will pay a price in depression, sadness, and a thin, thin life. But then came other years, years of change, and so by the 1970s, after my many searching adventures in the 1960s, revolution, travel, school, work, I found new colleagues in Seattle Counseling Service, right here in Seattle, the country's oldest counseling service for gays and lesbians at that time when it was still new, and now it is fully and most truly trans-welcoming. Oh yes, it is, my friends. But back then it was my first time to engage with lesbian and gay activists and leaders, the first time to meet LGBTQ people who were open and could talk about their full lives, human beings able to welcome and to talk about my feelings and thoughts of self and identity. Oh, amazing! Oh, wonderful! Oh, my goodness. Of course, I was still working in the trades each day. My companions in the labor movement, thank goodness for them, my friends. They taught me how unity is power, and how to have a remembered past is to have power, and what it means to fight and never quit. One of those afternoons in the late 1970s, I was waiting in the Seattle main library for my night shift to start in another job. Oh, friends, I love the library. Now as then, it is a place of life, possibility, promise, and knowing. And there was a book those long years ago sitting on the table where I sat to wait. I looked at it, I couldn't help. On the cover I saw the word Ingersoll. Well, this must be something about the Ingersoll Compressor Company, I thought. They make compressors for the trades, so I picked it up. But no, this was not about compressors. This was a book of Robert Greene Ingersoll's lectures and essays. Oh, my heart and life! I read the first essay and loved the man immediately. He was talking about how to think for yourself, how to stand up for people's rights against ingrained and unquestioned dogma and tradition. He was talking about human freedom, responsibility, and of love and of justice. Robert Greene Ingersoll was one of the greatest freethinkers and educators of the 19th century. Oh yeah, he lived from 1833 to 1899. He became a colonel in Lincoln's army during the Civil War, and he spoke out for the rights of women and children and against the deep and given racism of his time, and for the power of the human mind to learn reason and love, to blend heart and mind. I checked that book out right then and there, and within weeks it had all come together. All the lessons and learnings of these years of my life all the hope of what I wanted to do, I knew that if something was needed and does not exist, we must create it. I knew that it was possible to focus on gender and identity, and that many people were asking questions about these things. And Ingersoll had reaffirmed that there is no better way to spend your heartbeats than in the service of justice and sweet equity. I founded Ingersoll Gender Center based on these things, and here we are at it, 42 years later. 42 years, and we have never missed a weekly support group. I am so proud. We have a staff of 12 now. Oh, I can't believe it. And I must admit, at least 3 times in these years gone by since I started that, I thought that we as a community had finally won. But history, friends, oh, history, systems, fear and opposition have their ways. And now I know vigilance is our eternal close companion. And still though, I must admit one other thing. As Victor Surge said, the course is set on hope. And now, my friends, here we are, together in 2019, discovering again that in this current time of national mediocrity and venal disregard for all true selves, our Stonewall strength is needed. Our Northwest history of pride, power, passion, our grand struggle through these decades, every act and dream that brought us here, that brought you here today, all the intensity of truth, the thousands of hands and minds and hearts and hopes, all this trembles on our moment's edge, attacked again by wealth and hate, by rough division, and by clever machination. Yet, still, I feel such joy here today, gathered here with you, robed in sunlight and sweet friendship. Our colleagues here, our friends here, armed with mutual care and with love, all of us strong, committed once again on this respected day to forever protect our present joy and expand our future happiness. So this flag of ours that we will raise today, mere symbols flags may be, but they are ours and we make them. But this flag and our state's flag and this country's flag must never bow to crude attack or stand for anything less than full equity for us all. Workers, students, leaders, all of us, those with and those without. And I see the rising, inclusive struggle, this process well at work in my world of gender and identity, trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, born up through hard experience to fully and wholly at last be part of this bright community, our community. And I say, this time, at both our pinnacle and our highest peril, do not now let this wondrous struggle falter. We are the ones who must bring and who must build radical inclusion, fearless identities, mutual help, the 3 great pillars of our future and our hope, right here right now, in our living group together, let us bring this into being. Let nothing bitter mar this day, or this our month of spotlight pride. For every strength that has brought us here is with us still, in body and in memory, ours to love, to honor, and to use, ours to make a world anew. Cheers for the living, tears for the dead, as Robert Green Ingersoll used to say. Oh, my friends, as much as it can be in this world, great joy and peace to you. Great celebration, and indeed, with willing heart and willing mind. All my love, I thank you, my friends.
Thanks so much, Marcia. Can y'all hear me? Happy Pride. Let's see if I can pull this up a little bit. There we go. All right. My name is Kari Liram, and I'm one of the commissioners for the LGBTQ Commission. It's my honor today to introduce our spoken word artist named Eva Barton. I'm doing their introduction now. Eva Barton is a Black and Filipino, transgender, and non-binary poet and educator, currently residing in Seattle, Washington by way of LA. As a representative of Seattle, they've been on 4 national slam teams and participated in 3 individual world poetry slams. Their most notable poetry slam accolade is placing 5th in the world in 2016. Eva curated and directed How to Love This Queer Body of Color in an Unapology, and wrote and directed the award-winning play Rising Up. They are a cast member of Anastasia Renee's Queer Mama Crossroads. You may have seen Evo's work in Adrian, a poetry journal by Sibling Rivalry Press, Thriving While Trans, a Love Manual, the King County Metro, Slam Find, Right About Now, Button Poetry, and All Deaf Poetry. They and their work have been featured in Seattle Weekly, Seattle Gay News, Seattle Review of Books, and Crosscut. Their work touches on political issues from a personal point of view and often is birthed from the struggles of living in the identities that they are. Eva believes in the power of language and art as a tool for revolution. They are currently the Teen Leadership Program Manager for Youth Speak Seattle. Let's welcome Eva to the stage.
Seattle, how you doing? Oh my God, it's about to be Pride, so I'm gonna need y'all to make a little bit more noise. How y'all doing? Thank you so much. My name is Ebo, as was mentioned. I'm gonna do a couple poems for y'all today. Is that okay? Yeah. Cool. So my name is Ebo. I use they, them pronouns. How you use that is Ebo did the most amazing poetry I've ever seen. They were very attractive. I really wanted to give them $20. I'll be waiting right over there. All right? Cool. So I'm gonna do a poem about that. Ebo, I want to get this flawless. When I talk about you, wait, I could still use you, right? You go by they pronouns. Did you know that they is plural? Well, it's grammatically incorrect. I've done a lot of work to try to untie myself from this system of knots. I've had to rearrange my parts and everything I've ever learned to get here. This body has always felt like an old motel with no keeper and a room that I would gladly leave if I could. You can't get flawless what you've already classified inconvenient ruin. While I hold on to keys to my own confinement, waking up to the choke of my own hands, too afraid to let myself go. Please explain to me how my autonomy is less valuable than your grammar. What am I worth to you? Straight cis friend says, I want to call you by the right pronouns and by the right names if this is actually what you want. I just really thought that at your age, you knew who you were. I will always have to remember that I am tightrope walker with no net. You have had the privilege of being spectator. I've been too busy playing magician to this sleight of gender that I've mastered, wrapped too tightly in the bifold, in system, in this normal circus. You thought you knew who I was, or you thought you knew who I was. Did you have to remove me from your flask, hide me somewhere not too close to your children, drunk off of your assumptions of me at my age? What am I worth to you? Gay friend says, you're becoming one of them. You traitor, you flaming fake, you abandoner. I thought you one of us, endangered species, butch. What have you become? When you're drowning, your lungs will learn water. You will suffocate and it will take you, but your lungs will learn water. How can you expect me to drown? How can I wear this gender when it was water all along? What am I worth to you? What straight friend is really saying is, you are not of enough value for me to change. What gay friend is really saying is I don't know how to value you if not in relation to myself. My value has never been a cage in which you hold me captive, so let me go. Stop telling me about your grammar, because based off of your social media posts and text messages, you've never been concerned with grammar until now. Stop trying to convince me I'm confused. Stop trying to hold me in your light to appraise me proper. Gay friend says, straight friend says, family friend, they all say, but Ebo, you're just so valuable to me. Thank you. All right, so I have one more poem for y'all, and the thing that I'm noticing is that you're really quiet, and I'm from LA, so when you're quiet, it makes me think like something's gonna go down. So the solution to that is that you're gonna snap when you like something or when you feel something. You can say stuff, you can say like spit or yes or something, all right? So, and you can also stomp your feet if you're able. You can also wave a rainbow flag if you want to. That's wonderful and great, thank you. Yeah, or you could say my name. That's great. Cool. I like that. I'm egotistical. Great. Gonna do this. Thank you so much for having me. On the night of the Stonewall Riot, the inn began to overflow with us all over the street. A whole culture, hideously gorgeous, feather boa and glitter spanked, leather hats, and performing your gender better than you hot pants and suits and t-shirts and red leather pumps and the flyest sneakers poured out of the inn's windows like a stank wine made from the purest water that trans black femme Jesus laid their hands on. Yeah! We were afraid of being trapped inside that place. We were celebration, resounding, beer bottle smash, bite mark and lipstick smear, felt up and pushed, misgendered and misnamed. We live, and so many of us were dying. Abandoned and erased, so high and too sober. We were so exhausted with being all of these things at once, and if that isn't LGBTQ, then I don't know what is. Okay. Fast forward 50 very gay years, and I am standing on a sidewalk in front of a queer bar in Seattle. And the most beautiful femme makes the concrete her dance floor. She makes the DJ turn up the music so we can feel it out here. And then she spins, and she is grace and clouds, sexy and sweat. She is every woman my mother wants me to be and more. And I am just masculine, mesmerized by every twirl, every hip sway, the heartbeat of her heels slapping the sidewalk. And the TV screen in the bar plays the news. And the news reports 50 years later, and I'm still standing outside of a queer bar worrying about being trapped inside. And the news says that no one, especially this graceful femme, is too beautiful to die. And the news says, y'all don't believe in her. And the news says, y'all don't know us to be holy. And the news says another one of us was killed. And the news says another one was beaten. And the news says Capitol Hill in Seattle isn't really that queer anymore. How these rainbow crosswalks are just memorials for who used to be. How bachelorette parties fill our churches. Messy straight men leave their scents on our paths. How our screams sound like prayers to a God who doesn't want to hear us. How our blood wanders the streets searching for the places these rich, cis, straight, white visitors are not. And our allies are quiet. Our allies are tolerant. Our allies don't notice how we are being cleansed from history, how those rainbow crosswalks are fading from existence, how jails are being built for our youth to occupy down the street where you've taken a whole neighborhood away from us, how the police use us as target practice and have the nerve to call this a safe place, how the fruits of our labor are being taken out of our mouths as the juice of our struggle still drips down their chins as they dance to our music. In our bars, in our outfits, relishing in the freedom we created for ourselves but never got. And what language is silence? How do you speak ally and not bind your tongue to the cause? On the night of the Stonewall Riots, a handcuffed butch woman was brutally thrown from the inn towards police wagons. She looked at the bystanders and shouted, "Why don't you do something?" 50 years later, and I'm standing outside of a queer bar that's not really a queer bar anymore, and the news plays inside and it says we are on our own. The straight couples drink their cocktails. The cis men do not think I am real, do not even notice me, or how the most beautiful femme is disappearing right before their eyes. Why don't you do something? Thank you.
Happy Pride, Seattle. That was cute, but you can do so much better. Happy Pride, Seattle. So while we're waiting for our mayor to arrive for a moment, we're gonna have some music by our DJ, Mix America. Give it up for Mix. And we wanna acknowledge all you wonderful folks and beautiful people for being in the audience. We wanna give our special shout out to Ingersoll Gender Center, Pride Asia, the AIDS Memorial Pathway, Seattle Pride, Gay City Health Project, LGBTQ Allyship, the Pride Foundation, GSBA, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, Lambert House, Imperial Court of Seattle, Sequel is here, all of our indigenous folks are here, Alki Pride is here, who's here? NAACP is here. We are here. We are working in these spaces. We will always be here. And so for that, get some water, get some donuts that were generously donated by Top Pot, sign a brick, okay?
There you are. How are you? All right. So I tell you, I've been really lucky over the years to celebrate a number of Pride events here in Seattle growing up. And for me, it's so proud. There you are, Marsh. I didn't see you back there. Hi. You know, things have changed so much since I was young. We have made so many strides. You know, as it was said, I was appointed by Barack Obama to be the U.S. Attorney in the Western District of Washington. And believe it or not, I was the first openly gay person ever appointed by a president to a Senate-confirmed position in the Department of Justice in the history of America. And it only took a couple hundred years. And the entire time I served as United States Attorney, my partner Dan and I, who've now been together almost 25 years, we have 2 beautiful sons. This was before the baby boom because they're almost grown up. The entire time we served, my kids could be on my health insurance, but my partner couldn't because it was prohibited under federal law. And so I think we can't forget the gains that we have made, but it's sometimes hard to remember that because there's still so much left to do. There's too many of our brothers and sisters, our transgender brothers and sisters, intersexual and others, who still have to fight for common dignity, for employment rights, to be recognized. That we can have so many loyal Americans who serve their country day in, day out, in our military, to be fired by a presidential tweet. It's wrong. So it shows we've got a long ways to go. But Pride is a month where we can also focus on all the great things we've done, have a good time, have people lead us. This is a special Pride. It's the big anniversary from Stonewall where we had, you know, some trans sisters of color lead the riots. Thank you very much. And I'm wearing my special Chuck kicks because when I was coming of age, every self-respecting lesbian had Chucks. And our dress shoes were our clean Chucks. So I'm really proud to be here. Let's go up and do we raise the flag now? Nope. What do we do now? Oh, I've got a proclamation. I guess it pays to be mayor. I get to proclaim things. So I won't read the whole thing because this is a joint proclamation by the City Council and by the mayor. It is officially the beginning of LGBTQ Pride Month. Yeah! And every Pride Month is going to look just like this in Seattle. So now do we raise the flag, or is there more? There's more. Who gets to go next? You're next.
Go, Don!
Go.